The opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the speakers and presenters. They do not represent the opinions or views of the Equita Group, Equita Final Expense Services, or its affiliates.
Hello, everybody. Chase Sherrick here at the Equita Home Office, fired up, as always, about the podcast today. If you want to know why I'm a little bit more juiced up today, it's because, in case the marketing material didn't say it, we've got the #1 producing agent with EFES last year. #1. Lovely Johnson. She's been with EFES for quite some time. She's not new by any means to EFES. If you look at the all-time list, she sits at number 9. Number 9 currently. She started with us back in 2009. I had the luxury and the pleasure of being able to recruit Lovely, bring her on, and since then we've kind of grown a relationship here where we're super friendly, but at the same time, she is all business with over 1.2, right under $1.3 million in all-time production. You'll see very quickly on this call, she's no drama. She doesn't play games, and she is an absolute go-getter. She's a grinder at the core. She's, in Chicago right now where the weather is not so much fun. She was still out working yesterday. Weather advisory, all kinds of craziness taking place, but she was still out doing her thing. So we're excited about having her on today. And before we get started, as we always do, just some updates, some news you can use to kind of keep you in the loop. First and foremost, we have the national conference call. The national conference call is going to kick off on Monday, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Same login, same passcode that you're going to use to get on this call here and join this podcast. So if you want to join in real time, jump on. Monday, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. We're going to do that. We've got a great agenda put together for you guys. I think you're going to enjoy it. You've got, obviously, a word with the president, Eric Brennan. Not many companies that I know of where the president, owner of the company, jumps on, spends some time with you, and goes over what's going on in the industry. What is he seeing from a business perspective that can help you, and really just give you some tips and tricks on things you can implement today to help your business. You've also got an update from Peter Walker. We're talking about Medicare. Peter goes over what's happening in the Medicare space. Once again, gives you some tips and tricks on how to get better at what you do. And then we always have 2 guest speakers. One of those we always have is Ben Bowman. Ben sharing some words of wisdom with you guys on a particular topic each and every national call to help you get better. And then we've got a special guest speaker that we're going to have on as we always do. So we welcome you. Join us on Monday at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time on the national conference call, and we welcome you and look forward to seeing you. If right now you're joining us in real time, but you've yet to plug into the iTunes subscription for the podcast, jump on, do it. Go in, type in EFES Live, Edward, Frank, Edward, Sam, EFES Live on your podcast app, and whether that's through the Google Store, whether that's through iTunes, whatever, go in, look up EFES Live. You're going to see 4 different shows. You're going to see Medicare Madness with Peter Walker, Cole McCoy. You're going to see Insurance in Your Face with Ben Bowman and myself, Chase Sherrick. And then you're going to see this podcast show up as well, which is going to be the In the Trenches podcast. Hit subscribe on all 3 of those, plus one more, which is the EFES Throwback. The Throwback is where we have a lot of really good content from in the past, where you've got other top producers sharing their tips and tricks on how they do what they do. You can hit subscribe on all 4 of those. It'll upload the content automatically to your podcast app for you, so you don't have to go hunting for it. You don't have to go searching for it. It'll all be in there for you, and you don't have to go look for anything. And then last but not least, Lovely is finishing up right now with somebody, just so everybody knows. She's always out seeing somebody, always out making a sale. Last but not least, if you're out in podcast land right now and you hear something touched on today, I always have our guests talk about the mentorship, the training, the platform, whether it's on the FE side, on the Medicare side, just even as simple as having a consistent lead flow. We hear from a lot of people that find our podcasts, and they say, hey, look, I'm missing this, and it's affecting my business. I don't have that. I need a mentor. I need a Ben Bowman. I need a Peter Walker to come train me on this. I just need something that's missing. If you're out there right now and you're not with us and you feel like you're missing something in your business, give us a call. We would love to help you out. We'd love to have a conversation, kind of play doctor, diagnose what's happening in your business and what's missing to help you get that fixed. You can give us a call, 800-765-0711. You can also go to EFES, Edward, Frank, Edward, Sam, online.com, and then a chat's going to pop up. You're going to see my partner in crime, Mr. Ryan Karras, pop up, and he's going to say, hey, you want to talk, want to chat? Have a conversation with him. Talk to somebody here at our team, whether it's Ryan, Ben, Jeremy, myself, it doesn't matter. If you feel like you're missing something in your business and you just want to take it to the next level, you're looking to enhance it, give us a call. We'd love to chat with you. Anybody here is more than happy to help you, and we'd love to have that conversation with you. So Lovely's not here yet, but we're going to go ahead and get this thing fired up, get going. She's probably an ETA, oh, man, I don't know, probably about 2 minutes away, but we can get started without her, I think. Probably not, but let's go. All right, we cut the music here. We're going to have Lovely jump on here in just a second. And as we always do, a great introduction for somebody who's going to spend some time with us here. As I mentioned at the beginning of the call, Lovely was number one last year in personal production. She has started with EFES back in 2009. Almost $1.3 million in personal production year to date, or her career with EFES. She's an absolute go-getter. I could open up Peter Walker and anybody else on the call that knows Lovely and has spent some time with her. If you'd like to get the opportunity to meet her and network with you, she came to pretty much every roadshow event last year. Didn't get incentivized to do it by a payment from us or anything like that. She loves the camaraderie. She is one of the ultimate team players you'll find, but she loves the networking. She loves spending time with, Tom, Tony, Peter, myself, the whole team. She loves working with EFES. And not to speak for her, I wanted to kind of set the table so you guys know who you're going to be hearing from today. Last year, her production speaks for itself, but over 333 applications last year. 293 in premium. In all honesty, that number is actually, I think, 306 was the real number. The leaderboard didn't update all of her business, and some of that rolled over for this past month in January. But I think it was about 306, 307 in personal production. Her story is a powerful one. You'll hear from her. She's a single mother. As she says, she's got to get the bacon and bring it home and cook it too. So she's an absolute monster in this business, and I'm super stoked to have her on. She'll be on joining us in just a minute. But as Peter Walker can testify, her getting started in the business and where she is now, jumping in on the Medicare side, has been tremendous to see. She emerged last year after finally jumping in head first on the Medicare side of things. She jumped in and really kind of got things rolling with Medicare. And so she's going to be joining us in just a second, but production speaks for itself. She doesn't play games, and I'm hoping that she joins us here in just a moment. She just messaged me back. She's actually finishing an application. But when you look at the board, the numbers speak for themselves. And I don't mean to be redundant on this particular topic, but let me see here if we've got her live and in real time. Let's see here. That's Rita that just popped on. Hey, Peter, I don't want to put you on the spot, but I'm going to open you up. Let's talk a little bit about Lovely on the Medicare side of things. What kind of production numbers did Lovely put up last year just getting started in the Medicare space?
Well, Lovely's a bit of a different story. You can hear me, right, Chase?
Yes, sir. We got you.
Yeah. So I actually had to go out to Chicago on 2 occasions. I think she probably just wanted me to go out so we could hang out and drink some beers and eat some lobster. But no, she struggled a little bit in the beginning, and Medicare it's not super simple. It really is once you get through the training, but she struggled a little bit. So I went out a second time, and on the second visit, it just really clicked, and she took off. I think she did over 70 policies in 6 months. It was just an unbelievable, just kind of flipped the switch and off she went. So, as anyone that's seen Lovely in the house, she's incredible with referral business. I mean, she literally, I say this to people and they think I'm joking. She'll walk into a house, tell the people where to sit in their own house, start moving furniture around. Talking about taking control of a room, there's nobody that does it better that I've met in my career. And
it's funny you say that because when you just mentioned that, a story came to mind. When Lovely, I called her. Actually, she had called me about something while she was visiting with somebody, and somebody randomly just walked in, and her exact line was, "Go ahead and just sit right there. I'll be with you next. I'll get you signed up next." And the person had just walked in the room. So that is pretty much Lovely.
I was there at that meeting. They literally had a friend come by, and they're like, you know, basically she shushed them and said, "Sit right there. I'll take care of you next." And she literally wrote both those people. And you know, obviously now that she started doing the Medicare, it's just boosted her business that much more. You know, one thing that I have learned from her, and when I go out and I train agents all around the country, I tell people the first thing you want to do as a final expense, you know, if you've been doing final expense for some period of time, you probably have a few hundred people that you can call up. And so, you know, you call those people, you set appointments to come by and review their final expense policy and also see if they qualify for some of the new state or federal benefits. And it's amazing how much final expense you can write when you start going back to those people. I never did it when I was selling final expense. I was, you know, I'd sell a plan and I'd be running out the door with the signature still wet on the page trying to get to the next house. But Lovely constantly works her book of business, works those referrals. And, I mean, how many leads does she run a week, Chase? 10, 15?
Yeah, that's a crazy item that most people, you know, when they find that out, their eyes get real big. We've seen that a couple of times at roadshows. She's working 10 leads a week, but she works those leads to the bone. And then, as you know, and anybody who knows Lovely, Rita, who's on, Josh Jensen, a lot of the top producers who were at the roadshow know this already. She's a referral monster. She's probably one of the best referral generators I've ever met. And so she doesn't just work 10 leads a week and that's it. It's definitely 10 leads a week, plus she's generating heavy referral activity as well.
Well, I can tell you this, you know, having ridden with her on multiple days, she works from first thing in the morning till late at night, you know, and she's a single mother. So those agents out there making excuses that they don't have time to lead their life, I mean, just take a look at her. She drops a little boy off at school in the morning and picks him up in the evenings. I mean, she's a go-getter.
Yep, she's the real deal, and I think she just jumped on. So, Pete, I appreciate you jumping on with me and sharing that, man. I appreciate you, bud.
You got it.
And so, yeah, we've got Lovely on with us now. We wanted to make sure all the awesome things were said about Lovely before she officially jumped on and heard us. Lovely, are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
We got you. We appreciate. I know you're going to punch me in the face when I see you next for pushing you about being on the call. And I know you're in the middle of doing a sell, but much appreciated as always. Always love having you on. I know you've only got so much time out there in the field, and we appreciate you jumping on and spending some of it with us.
Oh, no problem. It's a pleasure to be able to speak with you all. I just had a little interview going on with Liberty Bankers, which went longer than expected. So.
No worries. We were just talking and singing your praises and talking and kind of giving everybody a little bit of an idea of who you are. We want to do a head first dive into this, as we always do. This is the one-on-one interview format where we kind of like, you know, to get to know the superstars in the organization. A lot of people ask, how does Lovely do this? How do they do that? So this is an opportunity to be able to, you know, kind of peek behind the curtain, see how you do what you do, and let them kind of get know a little bit about who you are. So with that being said, I know that, as I mentioned at the beginning of the call, you started with EFES back in 2009. You and I had a conversation. We got hooked up, got you set up with the carriers, and you know the rest is history. You've continued to improve each and every year. When exactly did you first get into the business? Not with EFES. When did you get started in the business overall?
I actually got started back in 2005 is when I got started, and as a lot of people know, you know, I was working as a captive agent. So when I came over to EFES, you know, I was able to become, you know, more independent and not be held captive. So my first start was in 2005.
2005. And when you first got into the business, Lovely, what was your first impression of the business? I know I always have to kind of preface when I ask this question by saying I remember thinking it was selling caskets, and I remember Eric saying, that's not the case. And Ryan's got, kind of a funny story about how when his first impression of the business. What was your first impression when you got in? Did it blow you away at, the opportunity to earn, your earning opportunity, or just what was your outlook on it in your first impression?
I mean, my first impression, some people know my story. I had graduated top of the dean's list in college and everything, and I was offered a position for $28,000. So, I was insulted. So once I came across the insurance, and I saw what other people were making, I said, this cannot be real, So, once I saw the earning potential, which is, it's really an unlimited earning potential, I was like blown away. I'm like, I don't mind working my behind off, for me, long as, the money is there, as opposed to working the 9 to 5 and working overtime and all this extra time. And then you still, at the end of the day, you don't have anything to show for it, no money and no time. So I was overwhelmed, and, I was blown away by the opportunity to make unlimited income, and then also the opportunity to be in control of your own schedule. It's
powerful. And you just said something there that I think it kind of summarizes you, and it's the epitome of you, which is, you are a grinder, you are a worker. And Peter was singing your praises a moment ago before you jumped on. We were talking about it. That's one of the things that, always sticks out when somebody gets to meet you and they hear how you do what you do, which we're going to be talking about today. You have continuously shown that you get out there and you do it each and every day. So let's talk a little bit about who you are. Door knocker, appointment setter, what's your bread and butter? I know the answer, but I got to ask it for everybody out there that doesn't know you.
Well, I don't know if you guys have been watching the news, but it's like, we just got past like the coldest day reported in history. So, of course, I'm not door knocking, in days like that. I am a go-getter, but sometimes I draw the line. Negative 50 degrees, that's where I'm drawing the line. So I just, I incorporate both. At first, I was more of a door knocker, but the longer that I'm in the business, I'm becoming more of an appointment setter now. But I just think it's important to be able to do both, because you don't want to get too comfortable with appointments where it's uncomfortable to door knock, because you need to continuously do that, because once you stop doing it, it becomes very uncomfortable. So I think it's very important to incorporate both, because you can always fill time, with door knocking. And if it's part of your regular routine, when you have an appointment and they stand you up, which I find I catch more people at home on a door knock than I do on an actual appointment. And it's funny that, that it's like that. But, when they're expecting you, it's like all of a sudden they aren't home. But when they aren't expecting you, they're home. So, when you get stood up, instead of spending time, getting on Facebook, going shopping, doing whatever, you can always circle the area. You can knock on some doors, and things like that. So it's a good gap filler, when you get stood up on appointments. So I incorporate both.
And there's something to be said for that. I think that, in my opinion, that's the winning recipe. When we've had Peter on and he told his story about, this is how I got started. Peter loves appointments, but Peter also did some door knocking. There's something in that mixture of both, where if you have the foundation of being able to get out and door knock, James Irwin, I know James is on right now with us. James is a killer at door knocking, but James can also run appointments. He can also book himself up. If you have that foundation of being able to rely on door knocking, that's powerful. But then also when you develop that skill set, like we gave Roger some serious praise over the last couple of calls, it's a game changer. You're more well-rounded. You're more dangerous to be able to really and just raise that activity level. So love being able to share that particular question. Let's talk about who you were when you first got into the business compared to who you are now, to kind of show everybody. Regarding your goals, how different are your goals compared to when you first got going till now? Like, what was the goal? What was your income goal when you first got into the business, and what is it now? What do you need each and every week?
Actually, it's actually amazing, because when I first started out, like I said, I was offered a $28,000 position. So my goal, I said, look, I at least need to make $60,000. So, you know, I blew that out of the water. Like it was pretty easy to make $60,000. So this, you know, the last year that just passed, I've gone all the way up to $300,000. I said I want to make $300,000, and then I also wanted to get at least 50 Medicare policies on the books too. So that way you're covering your front end as well as your back end. And I'm so happy that I added that Medicare in there, because when I tell you that money comes in right on time, it comes in on time. So every year I'm increasing my goal, because, you know, once you hit the goal, and I just barely hit it, but once you hit the goal, you definitely want to reach further, you know, because you hit that goal. So when I set my goals, I don't, you know, make it so it's easy. Like I have to work my behind off to get to my goals. So that's what pushes me. And I'm very, like a lot of people, I'm very hard on myself. So if I don't make the goal, I can't even complain to any of my friends. They're like, boo hoo, you didn't make 300,000, you know? So it's like, they really don't have any, you know, empathy. So it's like, it's a battle with yourself. You know, it's a battle with myself, because you can't complain to somebody making $40,000 a year that you just barely made your 300,000, you know, because they won't feel any compassion for you. So
yeah, I hear you, and I know that each time you and I sit down, it's at the end of each year. This past year was totally different. I know that you got the blinders on, totally game changer for you with Medicare being incorporated now. But I remember this past year, as we entered out of 17 and into 18. I mean, it was blood in the water. You were glazed over. You were a great white at that point. You were like, hey, I'm going for number one. And I was like, all right, let's do it. And obviously you get fired up, you know, in my position, because you have Lovely Johnson has the ability. You were not playing around though. You were very definitive with where you wanted to go, and kudos to you. You stuck to that goal. So I know that each year we sit down at the end of each year and we kind of assess where you want to go. You've got more focus, I think, as you've aged in the business, and you've gotten more mature in the business. You're dangerous when it comes to your goal setting. I talk to new producers about you when it comes to your goal setting. You're just dangerous when you lock on, because that's one of the big things. Peter touched on it as well. When you're out there to work, you work. So let's talk about your routine in terms of how you do your work. You've got a little bit different setup than some of the rest of the people out there. As Peter and I talked about a moment ago, single mother, you like you said, you got to bring home the bacon and cook it too at the last road show. That was the line of the road show. I love that. Let's talk about your routine. Everybody wants to know, how does she do it? How does she do this? Tell us a little bit about your daily routine. How does your day start and how does it end?
So, you know, I honestly try to stick to my routine, but as people that have children know that sometimes children will completely throw you off your routine. So you basically have to work around that child. So, my thing is I'm just continuously doing activities. So I try to sit down a day and schedule appointments for the following day, but realistically, that sometimes it just doesn't happen. So I have to sit down for a couple hours and make appointments for the next day. So I find myself every day I'm scheduling appointments, you know, for the next day. And like I said, I do keep the one thing that really helps me out is I keep my planner. I know a lot of people, you know, they go with the electronic gadgets, but I like a actual planner where I write down and I have slots. And that's just better for me. Like I use a lot of things on my iPad, but my appointment book, I like to look in there and I like to see, hey, call this person, follow up with this person. I write everything down. So that way, if something does throw me off, if the school calls or if he's hurt, I can go right back to my book and I can look and I can say, you know, I did not do this. So it's important for me every day to have a list of things that I want to do, and I compile that the evening before. So I'll a lot of time, it's not a set time every day. It might be between 9 and 11 a.m. I'm going to call and make appointments. Between 12 and 1, I'm going to door knock this person. Between 1 and 2, I'm going to be, I have this appointment. So I just basically, I don't have a set in stone, routine, but my thing is activity, and I write everything down, no matter how little it is. If you're telling people, hey, I'm going to call and follow up with you, I have that written down. 1 o'clock, I'm calling Miss Mary to follow up with her on such and such, whatever it is. So that's basically, how I do my routine.
That's awesome. And as we talk about all the fun stuff, we love saying how much production you've done, because you are fantastic at what you do. You're a killer. Let's talk about some of the things that aren't so much fun to talk about when it comes to self-reflecting here. What would you say, if you have more than one, feel free to share it. If you've got a bad habit, one bad habit that just, it irks you and you're terrible at it and it's there, what would you say your worst bad habit is in this business?
I would say my worst habit is sometimes my attitude will get out of hand. Like, I hate when people waste my time. Like, so I have to bite my tongue because, you still want to be tactful, but I hate when people waste my time because I'm so pressed for time. So it's like, if I get there and they're like, and they act like they don't know anything about it. I didn't fill this out, or I didn't do that. I don't like when people waste my time. So I would say sometimes my attitude can get a little, I have to bite my tongue. We'll just say it like that.
Gotcha. I appreciate you sharing that with us. I think Roger was very similar to that one. I think that was one of his, he said his biggest bad habit was, just the lack of patience sometimes, because it's like, look, I only have so much time to be out here. And he said he still catches himself on that on the last episode that we did with Roger. So it's good stuff. Let's talk about, I mentioned before you jumped on as we were introducing you, how good you are at referral generation. And when people meet you at a road show or a networking event, one of the biggest things they're blown away by is, number one, you could definitely dunk on them if they played basketball against you, number one. Number two, they are blown away at the fact that you only work 10 leads a week. So, outside of skyhooking in their face in a basketball game, let's talk about the just unbelievable side of how efficient you are working your leads, and then also how you turn 10 leads into possibly 20 or 30 additional people to see with your referral generation. Share with us a little bit about how you do that, how you maximize, your time.
Okay, so as far as referrals, I have shared this with several people, what I call my referral generation letter. I'm always asking for referrals, and I say time and time again, the reason why people don't get the referrals is because they don't ask, because I noticed, when I wasn't asking, I wasn't getting any. But it's like every time I ask, not every time, but, I always get the referral. So I'm constantly asking. When I'm sending out my thank you cards, I'm asking. When I'm at the house, I'm asking, all of the time. If they call me and they ask me, a question, I'm still asking. So every time I just incorporate asking for referrals, I incorporate it in my, in what I'm saying. So, it's just like if you go to a fast food restaurant and they teach them to upgrade. Would you like a cookie with that? It's like you have to incorporate it so that it becomes comfortable for you. And if people say no, they just say no, but you still have to ask. And then I have people where they just call and, because when you do good for people, they automatically tell other people about you. So I have people that just call out the blue. Hey, can you insure my cousin? Can you insure my uncle, my son, this, that, So I just made it so that I'm constantly asking for referrals. And then I also use my existing book of business a lot. So, it's nothing worse than somebody coming into one of your clients' houses right after you writing another policy. It's like, and they do it all the time because I do it. So, I mean, just imagine you're buying additional leads, but that person wanted $5,000 more, but they just didn't call you. So I just find it very helpful to use my book of business. Like, you have to have a CRM, you know, that you use so that you're able to access those people. And then also it's a time filler as well. So if you're in the area, you can always stop by Miss Jones' house. She already knows you. You know, hey, I was stopping by. You can do the increased letters that Ben Bowman talks about. It's just so many different ways, so many different spins that you can put to, you know, just referrals, which is additional business that you didn't pay for a lead. That's what I look at a referral as.
It blows my mind after working with you as long as I have. I think it's almost 10 years now, coming up on 10 years in a few months, that more people don't ask for referrals. And I get it. It's the hardest part about generating referrals is just asking for them. And the worst thing you can get told is no. And you've always done a really good job at it. And I remember you saying at the last roadshow, hey, look, it's not quantum physics. It's not brain surgery. This is how I do it. I've earned their trust, and then here we go. And you've generated so much business over the years, which is great, but also on the back end, which you just touched on. The fact that you are the agent for more than just one policy or one person, they've trusted you to to get you turned on to other people that they know. They're going to be calling you and if somebody else comes to the door. And I know that you get a lot of those phone calls when, other agents that don't work with us, come by, or they maybe filled another card out just by mistake or something like that. You get those phone calls from the client saying, hey, so-and-so just stopped by. You get a lot of those compared to a lot of agents where they don't ever hear from the client, right?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, that always amazed me, that you have that great rapport built with the clients. And as we talk about, once again, not always the fun stuff, not the number one of the year and, 300,000 in production. Let's talk about some of the stuff that drives you a little bit crazy here. When you have a day where, and we all have them, top producers like you and Jensen and everybody else on the board, if we open up James Irwin, Dan Riddle, and all the other top producers that join us live on this podcast, they can all testify to this. I'd love to know how you handle that day, or maybe those 2 days in a row, however many it is, that when you just get punched in the face, when you just can't give it away, you're just getting beat up, it's no's, it's, oh, I'm not interested. How do you handle those days? What's your approach when you run into those kind of days, Lovely?
I'm still working up. No, I'm just kidding. Actually, what I do is I always have to tell myself, like, this is a numbers game. So, I mean, you always have to look back at your track, your history. I know that I'm going to get out of whatever it is I am. I know that it only takes one policy. I can write one policy and I can cover my whole mortgage. I know I can write two policies. I can cover all the bills that I have. So it's like you have to keep that in the back of your mind. You know that you're going to go through slumps. I mean, you're going to go through slumps. I've gone through slumps where I'm like, damn, nobody has an account. Like, is everybody done? And then I go through the ones that, why do I keep running into guaranteed issue policies? Why do I keep getting direct express cards? So it's like we all go through these slumps, but it's like the more activity, the more people you see, you know that you're going to hurry up and get out of it. So like my old pastor used to say, if you're going through hell, keep going. Don't stop. Like, you don't want to get stuck there. If you're going through hell, just keep going. So I always just, keep that in the back of my mind, and that's how I get through the difficult times.
It's good advice. And at the end of the day, it's like you just said. Ben mentioned this yesterday on the morning call, which was, you're going to fail. We're in a business where failing 75% of the time and succeeding the other 25% makes you elite. It makes you one of the best. So we deal with that. It's the norm. And that's good advice. We appreciate you sharing that with us. Let's talk about go-to companies. What you look for, and it's this answer that we've received from this question has varied many different ways from all of the different guests that we've had on the podcast. So there's no wrong answer here. But what are you looking for in your go-to companies? Who are they, and why do you like writing them?
Well, my number one go-to is actually RNA. And RNA, I have a personal relationship with them. They were really there for me, when I needed them. So that is very important to me. Women, we play off emotions. I am an emotional person. So the fact that they were there for me when I needed them, that meant a lot to me. And it was actually on more than one occasion. So I feel like I owe them, so I am loyal to Royal Neighbors of America. That's my number one go-to. And actually, like I said, I danced with the CEO, we've had good times and everything. So I feel like I have a personal relationship with them. And then also they, I like to know before you go. I don't like anything where I have to wait 2 weeks and follow up on this and, have to check emails. I don't have the time for that. So I like to know that the policy is issued. I know that they're not going to come back and rescind the decision 2 months down the line. So with all of that, I feel like that's my number one go-to, and that's the reason why. If I cannot get it through Royal Neighbors, I also like Liberty Bankers Life. Liberty Bankers Life because they do the COPD and they go standard. So I get a lot of people with the with the COPD that's still smoking, so I'm able to get them a day one coverage. Guaranteed issue, I go with AIG. And then I've been using UHL more. They kind of pissed me off in the past, but I've used them more because they do have that full comp on the graded policy. So I am able to use that quite a bit. So that's pretty much, those are my go-tos. So
you're real big about in-home instant decision for the client. You love being able to give them yes or no. Before I leave, I want you to have certainty that you're good to go. Is that right?
That's absolutely right.
Yeah, I know that I've even had conversations with you in the past about, hey, have you seen this product? And it's, well, Chase, hey, there's no decision in the home, and so I want to give that peace of mind. So I know that we've talked about that before as well. I appreciate you as always spending time with us. We've got one last question that we love to end this podcast with, and I think it's a great insight, and it provides words of wisdom for all of those, whether they're with us live on the call or in podcast land. Lovely. What would you say the biggest lesson is that you've learned in this business?
The biggest lesson that I've learned in this business. I mean, I would just have to say the biggest lesson I've learned is I've learned to just keep a positive attitude. And that's like, I feel like once your attitude is positive, I feel like you can overcome anything in this business, no matter how bad it is. Like if you keep your attitude positive, you'll overcome it. You'll either look at it in a different light or you'll physically overcome it. So that's my biggest lesson in this business. It's just to stay positive, keep a positive attitude.
Good stuff. Well, I appreciate you as always. Love having you on. We'll do this again very, very soon. And happy hunting the rest of the day, Lovely.
Okay. Thanks, guys. Sorry for the delay.
No worries. That right there is somebody who I work with very closely. She's awesome. If you'd like the opportunity to be able to meet Lovely, I'm going to tell you right now, she's going to be in Vegas. And I was saving this update for everybody at the end. The EFES annual convention is going to be happening. If you have the means, if you have the opportunity, go ahead and get yourself a ticket booked for March 21st and March 22nd. We're going to be in Las Vegas. Get you a hotel. If you want to stay at the event location, we'll be sending an email out and some notifications through the group chat on where the location is for the event. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter because we're going to be there March 21st, March 22nd. We've got some of our key carrier relationships who have already committed. They're going to be there. We've got a great event put on for you guys. It's going to be a blast. So spread the word. If you want to meet Ben Bowman, you want to meet Lovely, you want to meet, a guy that's as awesome like Dan Garrity, who I know is on the call right now, or just the top producers that you see on the board each and every month. You want to meet Josh Jensen, you want to network, you want to rub elbows, you want to do it on another platform other than just a phone call, be there. We've got great presenters. We've got some great content ready for you guys. And we're better to do it to kick the new year off in Las Vegas. March 21st, March 22nd, be there. Get your hotel booked. And if you have any questions on it, feel free to hit me up, 972-339-0191. It's going to be a great event. The annual convention is going to be a good one, and we hope to see each and every one of you guys there. And I hope you have an awesome Friday. Hit them hard, and if you need anything, we're here. Thanks, guys.
The moderator has left the conference. The conference is now complete.